Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2. Have you got me? Over. Perfect.
boys, let's go. Must be us, eh? Good. Get ready to compete. Compete. All game long, we compete. All game long, that's what we do best, we compete. Hold on. Go lads. Go boys, all together. That's you.
contribution to the club. Welcome to all the travelling supporters from South Melbourne and our supporters. Good shows ready for our clubs for a fantastic evening of football.
Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Smoking under the grandstand under certain circumstances, please
Good, how are you? Of course. How's your brother?
How does the fourth official have a scarf?
Yeah, get the microphone closer to my throat. Now there's no, I can't use it as an excuse. Is that a good enough answer for you?
Yes, I like it. That's a professional answer. It's a professional answer.
Camera's right there.
What are they doing? That's on YouTube.
The stakes don't get bigger than this. A lot to play for here on Friday night as Friday night football returns for yet another weekend with two big clubs looking to make one quick push to the final. 7 games to go. Everything to play for here. It's a crucial and vital game for two sides that are looking to try and make a push to the finals, as it's going to be Dandenong City playing hosts to South Melbourne here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex in round 20 of the Senol NPL Victorian competition. I'm Stefan Georgic, bringing you all the action here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex between both of these two gargantuan sides in the Senol NPL Victorian competition. Dandenong City sitting on 9th on the table, 22 points, coming off a 0-0 draw at Nassau Stadium against Hume City last week. South Melbourne coming off a very, very close 1-0 victory against the Dandenong counterparts, Dandenong Thunder. That 1-0 victory at home in what was very, very close, a little bit too close for comfort for South Melbourne. This should be a revitalised team looking to make a really big impact coming into tonight's game. The music is out here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, and both teams are just about set here as we will get the coin toss underway with the official referee briefings getting underway here. Our referee here is going to be Michael Uliaris. I'll take you through the starting lineups for these two sides here tonight. It is a couple changes for South Melbourne, only the one, actually the two I should say, in between the sticks. Jake Charleston will replace Harvey Lopez, who went down late in that game last week with a collision, so he'll be replaced by Jake Charleston, and as well, that man in Hassan Ramazani will be making his start for that one change, as I mentioned. So Jake Charleston in between the sticks. Jordan Lampard, Marko Jankovic, Hassan Ramazani, and Jack Painter-Andrews are in the lineup. In the back third, Sebastian Pasquale, Thomas Yiannakopoulos, and Yuki Uchida are in the midfield. The two flanks will be Aaron Cox and David Yu, and Jordan Swibble will be the striker. And for Dandenong City, well, somewhat of an unchanged lineup for them. Only two changes for them from their last outing that they had. George Lambatarides and Jamie Latham will be coming on. Wade Decker will be making his way on the bench, and Harry Ashcroft isn't in the lineup. So for Dandenong City, Matthew Maram still in between the sticks. No Pierce Clark in the lineup for them, still out injured. The two fullbacks of Valil Sesnik and Jackson Lino. Jack Peticic-Cullen in the lineup once again. Jack Webster still out with injury, and Gaku Inaba alongside him in the central defensive position. Danny Kim, George Lambatarides are in the midfield along too with Jamie Latham, and the two flanks will be Timmy Atharinos and Will Bauer, and Xander Guy will be the man as the striker for Dandenong City. A big game feel for both of these two sides. Round 20 of the Senol NPL Victorian competition. A lot of stakes as both of these two teams will be playing to try and make one last dash for the finals, as we have kickoff here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. What a game, what an atmosphere. Quite the turnout here at Frank Holohan. Directly opposite us is the South Melbourne faithful up on the hill, and obviously Dandenong City up in the Filipovic stand directly behind the goals. Dandenong City in their white kit and blue shorts. South Melbourne in their blue shirt and grey shorts. What a game we have in store for you all here today, folks. So already South Melbourne looking to make somewhat of an attack here. David Yu, who's inside the 18-yard box, works it into Cheetah, the former Dandenong Thunder player. Pasquale, what a shot! What a goal! Instant impact, and Sebastian Pasquale for South Melbourne. Straight out of the gates. South Melbourne come out swinging. His first goal of the season. It does not get bigger for Sebastian Pasquale. His second goal in South Melbourne blue. His first goal came in the OFC Pro League in that first group stage game versus Auckland FC in that 2-1 win. And this time, South Melbourne, as I mentioned early on, right in the introduction of the broadcast, somewhat of a very diabolical game for them last week against Dandenong Thunder, which they definitely wouldn't have been happy with, against a Dandenong Thunder side that completely changed their entire squad. And South Melbourne come out guns blazing here. In the first minute and a half, Sebastian Pasquale, doesn't get bigger than that. And Dandenong City, who have had quite the home record this year at home, find themselves on the back foot. The last time they were here, they had a 3-1 victory against Avondale. They're going to look to try and make an impact. Xander Guy tries to cross it in. Going to work its way back to Valil Sesnik, who's going to work his way on that right-hand side in the 18-yard box. And he just had a sea of blue directly in front of him. Now it's Yuki Uchida. Works it out beautifully. What a clearance out to David Yu, who's been exceptional in the couple of games that he's played for South Melbourne. One-on-one with Jackson Lino on this right-hand flank position inside the box. Works it back to Yiannakopoulos. A bit of a derby game for Thomas Yiannakopoulos, a former Dandenong City player in his own right. Played 49 games for them ever since signing. Xander Guy kicks the ball, and it's Hassan Ramazani turning around and deflecting that football. But what an electric start here for South Melbourne. And we're just going to slowly work our way in here. An incredible start, to say the least here, everybody. And the other change, I should say, is Max Mikkola, who started as the left wing in the last game against Dandenong Thunder. He was obviously the starting player and has been quite the player that South Melbourne have been able to rely on. Is out on the bench. Replacing him is Aaron Cox up front. Thomas Yanakopoulos has been moved up into the midfield position, and Hassan Ramazani making way for him up as well in the central defensive position. So Dandenong City bring the football back here after what's been a very electric start. One that they'll definitely be licking their lips at here. This game between these two sides, definitely quite the drama. This is the 13th meeting between these two teams. South Melbourne lead the head-to-head tally, 6 wins to Dandenong City's 3, with 3 draws in between them. Their first meeting happened back on the 24th of May in 2017 at Lakeside Stadium in that quarterfinal of the Doherty Cup, and that was a 5-4 South Melbourne win at the time. Earlier on this year, South Melbourne had a 4-2 victory against Dandenong City at Lakeside Stadium. I'm sure Dandenong City will want to try and fight it back as Xander Guy's down. Michael Uriaris calls no foul there. And it will be a corner coming up here for Dandenong City on the far post. So earlier on, a round 7 fixture between these two sides. Now round 20. Let's see what Dandenong City can make. Can they make an impact and a quick response here from this corner? As the corner will come in towards the front post, as it's kicked there from Danny Kim, who was very off balance there in the box, and that one will be going to Jake Charleston for a goal kick. Jake Charleston, a former Empoli under-18s player in 2020 and 2023. Let's see if Dandenong City can try and fight back. He was promising for Xander Guy. Xander Guy, who was quite the target last week, especially in a lot of the possessions in that second half against Hume City last week. So watch out for Xander Guy, especially once he starts to get fed the ball more. And speak of the devil, here he is, Xander Guy, from the pass from Timmy Atharinos, who was exceptional last week. And here is Atharinos as well. Can he try and cross it in? Jake Charleston's everywhere. What about that exceptional saving from Jake Charleston, who was everywhere? And Harvey Lopez is definitely watching right now with a smile on his face at the youngster. The 22-year-old from Wollongong putting on a goalkeeping masterclass right now. Jake Charleston having to go from one dive to the next. That was a very, very close header there from Danny Kim. Timmy Atharinos and Danny Kim peppering the goal, putting the youngster under enormous pressure. Here comes a corner towards the back post. And that ball going over the byline. And it will be Jake Charleston's ball. And I believe it was an offside there. What an electric start here, folks, at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. It does not get bigger than this, everybody. A big Friday night of football here. We'll bring you all of the updates as well. We have 4 games that'll be unfolding at the same time as us here, Frank Holohan. One game that's already underway between Green Gully and Altona Magic. Somewhat of a close encounter there for Dandenong City with Matthew Murray between the sticks. Here's David Yu, the new recent signing, looking to apply pressure. Working his way against Jackson Lino one-on-one. Lino the winner. And the possession worked all the way back to Marko Jankovic, but Green Gully and Altona Magic, one game happening. Oakley Cannons and Avondale the other. That'll be happening at Jack Edwards Reserve. And the other game, the big one, Preston Lions taking on Hume City at Jenna Steele Stadium. We'll bring you all of the updates as the games do commence throughout the evening. And we can bring you probably one of the updates right now as it's a 1-0 lead in favour of Altona Magic against Green Gully. It's in the 22nd minute of that game. Owen McCloskey was the goal scorer in the 12th minute there. So as the evening does progress, all of the updates will be provided to you, so you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy your Friday night footy here under the bright lights at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Glad to have your company wherever you may be watching right around not only Victoria but around nationwide Australia. Aaron Cox now on the left-hand flank. What can he try muster up? And Matthew Murram able to control the football down onto the ground. A couple of other games they'll be taking place tomorrow. Melbourne City against Heidelberg United. A very mouth-watering encounter for them. Heidelberg United, who are winless over the last couple of rounds. Dandenong Thunder and the Bentley Greens, a 5 p.m. kickoff there. A battle for the relegation and an Adam Piddick derby. And then Sunday at 3 p.m. at Churchill Reserve, it'll be St. Albans Dynamo taking on Caroline Springs George Cross, and that'll round out round 20. But our focus is here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. It has been a very, very exciting start to this one. South Melbourne FC, what a year they've had. Obviously got to the grand final of the OFC Pro League. I did a little bit of maths over the week. If you count from the moment the Australian Championship started to this very moment, this is South Melbourne's 50th game since the Australian Championship. If you exclude those 9 games that they had, because obviously they made it to the finals, they have played 41 games since the beginning of the year. So it's been quite the number of games that they've played. That includes 20 NPL games, 19 OFC Pro League games, 2 Doherty Cup games. And if you add the remaining games hypothetically, if they were to win all of their Oz Cup games, which is 5, all of the Australian Championship games, that being 9, that equals 14. If you include the remaining 7 regular season NPL games, including today, plus 3 finals, if they were to play elimination, that's 24 games left to play. That'll equal to 74 games played if they were to win all of those games. And that's including those 9 games that they had in a full calendar year since the start of the Australian Championship last year. If you were just to include this year alone, that'll be 65 games for them. So South Melbourne FC, they have played so much football this year. How much of the fatigue factor will play a role here as the season does progress? For this is just like any old game for them. For Dandenong City, however, who haven't played that many games, definitely a lot more well-balanced and a lot more well-rested. But obviously with the signings that they made in the off-season, especially in the mid-season transfer window as it just closed, definitely able to relive and rebuild and add a couple mercenaries back in. As Will Bauer will bring the football back in play, as Jake Charleston having to do a little bit of goalkeeping there. He's outside his box. Jamie Latham, who was exceptional when he got subbed on last week, looking to try and make an impact. As Gaku Inaba there. And correction, George Lambataridi is the last one to kick the football there. And a little bit too ambitious on that play. And it will be back with Jake Charleston. So a little bit of statistics that I was doing throughout the week for South Melbourne with the amount of games that they've played. Fatigue is definitely kicking in. However, with the way that they've started, it definitely doesn't look like that's the case, as Valil Sesnik progressing the football up. He was another player that was super solid in that game last week against Hume City. Here's Jordan Swibble, one-on-one with Jack Peticic Cullen, a former Canberra, Croatia player, making his way over from NPL ACT down here to the cold of Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Another youngster as well, played 7 games for Canberra, Croatia last year, as this could be a chance here for Dandenong City. Xander Guy who's inside the box. Touch that was played a little bit too far away from him. Here comes Dandenong City. It was Timmy Atharinos once again, another player who played really, really well in that game last week against Hume. South Melbourne to try and progress the football up. Yanakopoulos, as I've mentioned, the derby game for him this evening. One of the key players last year for Dandenong City in making the Senol NPL Victorian Grand Final from 2024 to 2025. Played 49 games and scored 4 goals. Last year only scored the 1 goal, and that was in round 2 against Dandenong Thunder in that 2-2 draw at George Andrews Reserve. It was such a vital piece of the puzzle for them. Dandenong City still with possession here, and they've been in possession and on the attack for quite some time. Let's see if they can remain and keep this momentum swinging, as it was a good-looking ball there from George Lambatarides to Jackson Leno. David Yu now on this right-hand flank. Jamie Latham putting enormous pressure. Jackson Leno works it back. South Melbourne, big press here right directly in front of us. Will Bauer in the centre of the park had his sights set on Xander Guy that was progressing up forwards, but he just couldn't quite nail the pass. Yanakopoulos threads it out to Aaron Cox, who was the only goal scorer last week in that 1-1 win against Dandenong Thunder. Here's Yuki Uchida inside the box. What can he make? Just doesn't quite time his pass to perfection. And that pass intercepted there by Gaku Inaba. Quite the flair this game is having so far. The atmosphere, especially out on the far side and between the coaches, quite intense. Painter Andrews with a header. Gets it forwards, and that one goes straight over the touchline. Jack Painter Andrews thought about going quickly. Jack Painter Andrews, a former Bentley Greens player before joining South Melbourne in 2023. This is his 4th season at the club. His 91st game here this evening. Scored 3 goals ever since joining. Scored 1 goal so far this year, and that was back in round 16 versus Altona Magic in that 3-2 loss. South Melbourne's last couple of losses haven't had the best lot of form. They've only had 2 wins out of their last 5 games, as Jackson Leno intercepting that ball, and it still will be in favour of South Melbourne. But their last 2 losses have been to teams that have been down in the relegation zone. That 3-2 loss I've mentioned against Altona, and probably one that they'll definitely be kicking themselves in, was that 2-1 loss against Green Gully that gave Green Gully the first win of the season for them. So that's definitely a loss that they won't be too proud of, as Painter Andrews will throw it in. An open goal square. And that one, and Dandenong City look to try and progress it forwards there. Matthew Marum came out of his box. Pasquale tried to go forwards, went straight into the footing of Jackson Leno. But the urgency in this game here between these two sides is picking up more and more. The noise and atmosphere in and around the ground. Obviously in the far side you can hear the trumpet and the drums from the Dandenong City supporters. And you can see right on the hill there all those South Melbourne supporters with the South Melbourne Hellas scarves. Good to see the travelling Greek community out here down in Melbourne Southeast. Jackson Leno pressed really heavily there by Jack Painter Andrews. David Yu won the football, and it's Inaba with the interception. And Yanakopoulos there winning the football back for South. David Yu works it and threads it into Uchida. Back out once again to Yu, and connecting with Painter Andrews. They're playing it right on this sideline here, on this right-hand side. And they work it back to Hassan Ramazani. Hassan Ramazani, most recently part of Vanuatu United in the OFC Pro League, where he played 19 games over there. Quite the player in his own right, Hassan Ramazani, on loan from Vanuatu United. A former Brisbane Raw player as well, from 2020 and 2022. Played in 1 A-League men's game. That was in round 22. In that 3-0 win against Melbourne City. Hassan Ramazani. Also spent some time at Queensland Lions as well, where went on to play 3 games in the Australia Cup as well. And obviously, most notably, at Vanuatu United in the OFC Pro League. So South Melbourne FC definitely gone and signed some really, really class players out there on the bench for them. Super stacked and loaded. We'll keep that keep on talking about what I was mentioning as Jordan Lampard was progressing the football there, but on the bench for them today is Antoni Van Riet, who's on the bench as well. Paolo Retre, Buljawach, Richard and Como, and a couple of others, but Xander Guy here is progressing the football up and just lost that possession, and Nick Tolios there super frustrated with his troops there. Xander Guy, not sure what he was doing with that. A bit of a slow pass. And somewhat of a missed opportunity there for Dandenong City, as we are going to have Will Bauer, who's going to throw the football back in. The long throws have been taken over the game here so far. There's a ball straight inside the box. Jake Charleston almost came out of his 6-yard area. And the ball's worked all the way into the back third. So South Melbourne being able to just switch the tide over the last couple minutes or so and work the possession and the momentum back into their favour after that really massive onslaught from Dandenong City, who've really been able to turn Frank Holohan into somewhat of a fortress for them this year. They've had 5 wins, 3 draws and 2 losses this year, so quite the home record for them. Obviously Avondale couldn't do it a couple rounds ago. Can South Melbourne do it is the real question, as Jordan Swibble tried to control the ball. But there was great defending there by Dandenong City, and that ball going out of play. And it will be South Melbourne's football here. So what a opening little bit to this game these first 20 minutes have been. Glad you could be with us as well, wherever you may be tuning in right around the planet. Still 1-0 between Green Gully and Altona Magic. That's a lead in favour of Altona Magic. 1-0 in favour of South Melbourne here, and only a couple minutes or so away from kickoff as that ball goes flying over the railing. A couple minutes or so away between the Oakley Cannons and Avondale kicking off at Jack Edwards Reserve, and 8:30 kickoff between the Preston Lions and Hume City. So quite the Friday night of football here, folks, and glad you could be with us and joining us. So this game is only going to get more interesting as the game does progress. So if I was you, I'd sit back, relax, maybe grab a beer or two, kick your feet up. As the counters get, this is definitely quite the mouth-watering contest. As I mentioned, these two teams are fighting for finals. With the way that things stand, if South Melbourne were to hold on right now, if the game was to finish, they will be promoted back up into 6th. Well, actually, into 5th. They'd be back up in the top 6, I should say. They'd be on 31 points if the scoreline was to stay. Dandenong City, they're on 22 points. They're able to claim 3 points. They will be within 1 point of Caroline Springs George Cross. They'd also be tied with South Melbourne as well. So quite the game, a lot at stakes here, as we have a free kick here with Jordan Lampard. Just going to take this free quick. Quite the low one here. Dandenong City players all in the box. They're able to get ahead on it, though. Marko Jankovic threads it out to David Yu, who had the last shot, but shot was deflected, though. There, a sea of white shirts directly in front of him. Had nowhere else to go. Here's Painter Andrews now on this right-hand side, who tries to curl it in. It was a promising pass, but an offside flag was up there on Jordan Swibble. And Dandenong City can just have a sigh of relief there, as South Melbourne putting Dandenong City under a whole lot of pressure. And that's what South Melbourne have been able to do, not just so far in these opening couple minutes, but no matter which team they've been able to play, is they've been able to add constant pressure in different stages of the game, and this is definitely one that they're able to do that. Obviously, an opening onslaught, as I've mentioned, from Dandenong City, but South Melbourne have definitely come out in these last couple minutes gun swinging. Jackson Leno one-on-one with Painter Andrews. Turnaround kick goes down the line to Jamie Latham, and it's Yanakopoulos winning the football back there. Former teammates going at it. And it's Yanakopoulos still with possession here. Quite the player Thomas Yanakopoulos has been. Quite the tall player as well. Serves him very handy. It's Painter Andrews progressing the football up really, really brilliantly here. Here's David Yu out on the corner flank once again. And that ball will be out for a corner for South Melbourne. But what a sequence of play there for Jack Painter-Andrews, cutting the football back in centrally, evading two players and working it out to David Yu. David Yu, who's been the intended target for so many plays and passages of play so far in this game. Haven't really gone too far out on the left-hand side out to Aaron Cox, which is quite surprising considering Aaron Cox was the only goal scorer last week. Here's Jordan Lampard, though. South Melbourne looking to try and add another goal for them as the corner towards the back post, and somewhat of a missed opportunity there. And it will be a goal kick here with Matthew Merriman, Dandenong City.
We've got a couple of extra balls coming now. Yeah, we're going to retrieve those two.
Some substitutions out on the bench as well for Dandenong Cities. I forgot to mention Wade Decker, who's been bumped down out of the starting 11, down onto the bench, along too with Jackson Courtney Perkins, who will be on the bench as well, Matthew Giofcu, Anastasios Georgakopoulos, Stevie Alexi, who's in the squad, one of the new signings that happened during the mid-season transfer window, and of course Blake Worth is in the lineup as well. So South Melbourne and Dandenong City with quite the mercenaries out there on the benches, as Will Bauer progressing it up, as he was really promising there. The flick back in, it was a bit of a low cross in, straight across the deck. Not sure if that's what he intended to do, but it was really tough with the angle that he was running in, and Jackson Lino down there on the bench, oh, sorry, down there on the deck, I should say, winning his team a free kick. But as I was right in the middle of speaking, Dandenong City and South Melbourne have quite the players out there on both retrospective sides. And I'm sure if they're needed later on in the game, they'll definitely make quite some inclusions. Here is Dandenong City on the attack. Valil Sesnik with a beautiful fake, managing to fake out Sebastian Pasquale, the former Western United player. The football all the way out as Jordan Lampard gives it a boot right down the line. Uchida, beautiful football there. He just can't quite time his pass to perfection. He did have Jordan Swibble in his sights, Yuki Uchida. What a player he's been. Not only since the start of the Australian Championship when he did sign for South Melbourne, but just last year as well when he did play for Dandenong Thunder, and even before that as well. I mean, when he was playing for Northcote City as well, did play a little bit in Malta for Selema Wanderers, where he played in 16 games. Then from 2023 and 2024, he spent in Northcote City, where he played 25 games, scored 4 goals, and then last year, 26 games played for Dandenong Thunder, 11 goals scored for him. So Yuki Uchida, it doesn't get bigger than that. The most goals he scored was in round 23. He scored 2 goals against that Melbourne Knights 4-0 victory at home at George Andrews Reserve. And of course, when he signed for South Melbourne in the Australian Championship, he made 2 goals in the 9 games that he played in the Australian Championship. Scored a total of 7 goals in 16 appearances in the OFC Pro League as well. As that throw in from Will Bauer was no good. Went straight into the head of South Melbourne. Jordan Swibble putting some pressure here on Jack Peticic-Cullen, the youngster. Chip tried to cross it in, but instead works his way back to Gaku Inaba, who's going to thread it and cross it out to Will Bauer, as Jack Painter-Andrews will be the last one to kick it out, and it will be a corner on this near side, right up along the Filipovic stand. Dandenong City, a hard-fought game that they had last week against Hume, and of course against Avondale here. That was their last home game, a 3-1 win for them. Sure, they'd love to return to the winning ways. Corner comes in this time. That one flicked away, however, and it's David Yu, the last one to kick it away there. So great bit of defending there for South Melbourne, who found themselves for the majority of this first half on the back foot, but when they've been able to really attack, they've been able to counter-attack really well, but they just haven't quite had the numbers to actually have a real quality shot and a real good look on goal. Here's Danny Kim, centrally, no one around. Threads it back out to Xander Guy. Tries to whip it in. Here is Timmy Atharinos working his way inside the 18-yard area. Xander Guy gets there to reclaim possession. They're going to work this football back now and try and reset the play here. Valil Sesnik, just a cheeky little chip forward to Xander Guy. And it was looking promising. Jamie Latham there tried to go for the dive, but couldn't quite time his dive on that occasion. And Dandenong City, they're itching for a goal here to try and equalise this football game. Their last loss, Dandenong City, came in round 17, that 3-2 loss against Caroline Springs George Cross at City Vista. South Melbourne tasted a loss, not last week, but the week before, as Yuki Uchida is down, and he managed to win a free kick for his side. You can hear Sinisha Chahajic there, out on the bench, frustrated with his troops out there, and rightfully so. Jordan Swivel sometimes, from what he was saying, been focused too much on winning the contest and not trying to get into his position. Here's Aaron Cox, works it up to Jordan Lampard. And South Melbourne, who have had some times to work the football up here, have just been stopped by this Dandenong City back third. Dandenong City have conceded 25 goals so far this year. For South Melbourne, conceded 32. However, they've definitely put in a lot more balls in the back of the net compared to Dandenong City. Only just the 3. If you look at the amount of goals that they've scored, South Melbourne 29 goals scored. Dandenong City with only 26. So somewhat level pegging between the two sides, but the only differentiating factor is South Melbourne have been able to claim just 2 more wins and a couple less losses in that time. But of course, South Melbourne, being on OFC Pro League duties, they've had to rely heavily on their under-23 squad to try and keep them somewhat in finals contention and to keep their season alive. And a shout out to all the South Melbourne under-23s. If you are tuning in and watching this, definitely commended for your efforts out there. So keep on working hard, and definitely you'll have a spot in this squad, because the way that you guys are able to play, definitely a bright future out there for you guys. Not only that, but for all the youth out there watching as well, a good inspiration. Ball back in play. Marko Jankovic with a header. Dandenong City looks to try and go forward. David Yu here. Tried to work it back to him, but just outpaced there. It was a 2-on-1 from him, and Dandenong City really having to double team David Yu, who's been really, really electric whenever he's gotten the football. Also played in the OFC Pro League for South Island United. Played 18 games and scored 4 goals, David Yu. And here he is right on call. Tries to whip it in. Jordan Lampard out to Aaron Cox, who has Valil Sesnik closing in on him. Right out to that corner flag position, and that one going over the touchline. Still will be with possession of South Melbourne. But David Yu, definitely one player to keep your eyes out on, with the explosivity of him out here on this right-hand wing, on this flank. Definitely one to keep your eyes out for. Quite the player out there.
And he's going long.
Ball back in play inside the box. Somewhat of a wasted opportunity for South there as Dandenong are able to clear it away. Good chest control there for Yiannakopoulos, who's definitely been quite the intended target here for quite a lot of the possession. Painter Andrews working his way all the way from the back third up to try and whip the ball back in Arbor. Will Bauer doing an excellent job trying to keep Thomas Yiannakopoulos at bay. He was really trying to win the football back. You can see the pressure that South Melbourne are playing. Even though they've been somewhat on the back foot here, they've still been able to keep Dandenong City somewhat at bay. Just the aggression and physicality between both of these two sides on clear display here. So we slowly tick over the 34th minute here. Pasquale. Cox, one-on-one with Lampard, who's working it in centrally. Hasn't really got any options up ahead. He had Yuki Uchida, who was right up glued next to him. It's about 4 Dandenong City players on that occasion, and you can see there on the counter-attack when Jamie Latham tries to whip it forwards. They've got too many players outnumbered here. Dandenong City, at times here, they've got 5 men across the back third. Rolling with 4 in the midfield. And a good ball there for Yuki Uchida, who gets it in between the legs of Matthew Marum. But really, really good defending there. And you can see there, 5 men in the back third. As Jack Peticic-Cullen just getting there in the nick of time to keep the football away from the back of the net and kick it away. Dandenong City. If they were playing FIFA right now, they'd be on ultra defense at the moment because they've got 5 men in the back third at times. South Melbourne, though, I wouldn't blame them because the amount of pressure that they play with, sometimes you need to be playing with that extra man in the back third. Because at the moment, South Melbourne, they're counter-attacking really, really well. Again, as I've mentioned already, David Yu able to explode and get the football up. And here is Dandenong City. Could this be a chance for them? Out on the flank is whipped across to Jamie Latham, who's going to try and cross it in. That ball deflected on Thomas Yiannakopoulos. For Lil Sesnick, who comes down, and our referee, Michael Uliaris, doesn't call for a foul. And it will be with Jake Charleston. So what a game so far it's been here, folks. Intensity off the charts here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. It's good that there's no fog here compared to the other week when Avondale came here to play. Here's David Yu. So what about going forwards? Brilliant bit of defending there from Jackson Leno, cutting off the angle. And that one going all the way back to Matthew Marum in between the sticks. Kuanaba. Back out to Marum, who began his career part of Rockdale Illenden. Matthew Marum in 2022 and played a little bit for the Parramatta Eagles before making his way and joining Dandenong City last year, where he played in 4 games. So far this year, he's had to play in 6 games, and he's had 2 clean sheets as well this year. So shout out. Big commendable effort for Matthew Marum as well. Bauer takes one massive shot there from well beyond range. That would have been a really enormous equaliser for Dandenong City. Xander Guy inside the box, works its back, and Jake Charleston managing to kick it away. Still in favour here with Dandenong City. Out on the right-hand side, whipped in, but Jake Charleston, brilliant defending there from the youngster, who's really filling in the shoes well. Commendable effort there for Jake Charleston, the youngster, the 22-year-old, who's only played in 1 game this year, and that was back in round 3 against Altona Magic in that 2-1 win at Paisley Park. So this is his 2nd game in the lineup in the starting position. So really, really a portable effort so far for the youngster Jake Charleston from Wollongong. As I've mentioned already, a former Empoli under-18s player. David Yu now tries to win the football back. Jackson Leno's down. Tries to thread it forwards to Jordan Swivel, and a lack of communication there between the two. As Jordan Swivel just stops and looks at him with his hands down, saying I was right here, but would have almost certainly been another goal for South Melbourne. Just falls out of their fingertips there. And Dandenong City, somewhat of a get out of jail for free card. What could have been a 2-0 trail for them, still find themselves one goal down. But boy, have they been playing with some type of pressure here. This is the Dandenong City at this time of the year where they really start firing, and it's credit to Nick Tolios. This is the winter Dandenong City, where ever since the recent years when they've been promoted, they've had 12 wins in these winter months. So they've definitely been able to claw their way back in the late stages of the seasons. If Dandenong City were to miss finals this year, it will be the first time since 2024 that they will miss 2 consecutive seasons of making finals. So there's a little fun fact for you all. Dandenong City, fun fact, they've never finished as high as 6th on the table. So that's definitely some sort of record that they'd want to try and break. Lampard tries to whip it across. It's Jackson Leno there to try and recover it, but the ball will go over the byline there. To keep you updated with some of the games happening right around the grounds, it is half-time at Green Gully Reserve between Green Gully and Altona Magic. A 1-0 lead still in favour of Altona Magic. Of course, we still have a 1-0 lead here for South Melbourne, and it's a beautiful ball there. Will Bauer one-on-one with Jack Painter-Andrews. And that ball, and the chance goes begging there for Dandenong City. But I'll read you out some of the other games. It's the 14th minute at Jack Edwards Reserve between the Oakley Cannons and Avondale. And of course, we are 2 minutes away from kickoff at Jenna Steele Stadium between the Preston Lions and Hume City. A double-header there at Jenna Steele Stadium, I should mention. The Senol NPLM Victorian Women's Competition was there. Preston Lions taking on Bulleen Lions in that encounter over there. It was a 2-2 draw between those two sides at Jenna Steele Stadium between Preston and Bulleen. Preston, who hasn't had quite the strong season. Bulleen sitting on second of the table. Preston Lions sitting in 12th, second or third to last, I should say, with 17. 10 points clear of Melbourne City and Bentley Greens, who are right down in the relegation zone. But here comes the corner in. Matthew Maram gets his hands on the football there. So we will have the football with Dandenong City, but those are the updates in and around the grounds. And the other game happening as well in the NPL Women's Competition as well. Wembley Park, Box Hill United and Boroondara Carry Eagles. A 1-0 lead for Box Hill United. And Bentley Greens and Avondale right in the first minute at Kingston Heath. 0-0 between those two in the Senol NPL Women's Competition. So plenty of football right around Victoria, wherever you turn your head and look. 4 games in the men's competition, 3 in the women's. 7 games right across the board. It doesn't get bigger than this. And look at this from Yamakopoulos. Going the full length of the pitch there. No one thought about getting in his way and stopping him. Maybe some of the Dandenong City boys thought he was still part of their team. Here's Aaron Cox. Threads it out to David Yu. Switches it onto his left foot. Jackson Leno, good bit of defending. Jack Painter-Andrews tries to whip it in. Matthew Maram's down. Jordan Lampard can have a strike. Another chance there for South. Just goes out the window. Really, really strong kick there for Jordan Lampard. Don't think he needed to be that strong considering Matthew Maram was already down on the deck. But nevertheless, though, football will be back in favour with Dandenong City. Two minutes away from half-time here with impossible stoppage time so far, however, though our referee, Michael Uriaras. He's definitely been quite well at keeping the boys well maintained out there. No yellow cards as such so far, but maybe in the second half it could be something else, however, though, as we do have a Dandenong City player down directly in the middle of the park. So we'll have somewhat of a bit of a stoppage in play here. But what a game it's been here, folks, and confirmation as well. The game is underway at Genestil Stadium between the Preston Lions and Hume City. So those are all the games happening at the moment in and around the grounds. Just going to wait a little bit, as we do have a player down here for Dandenong City, and it was Danny Kim. Correction, it was Valil Sesnik. So good to see Valil Sesnik back up now. I have to correct myself once again, actually. It was Will Bauer. So Will Bauer, who's just out directly in front of us here. I couldn't see the two right next to his shorts there. So Will Bauer back now. So my correction there, folks. And 1 minute of added time indicated by our fourth official here to conclude this first half and what's been a very, very exciting and energetic first half here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex between two sides that are in desperate need of a win. Dandenong City more so to try and keep their hopes still alive of finals football. Throw-in is back inside the box. Could it be a late-minute goal? There's this Danny Kim who has a shot, and it actually hits the Filipovic stand. Jake Charleston to bring us back in. Michael Uliaris on standby as soon as this ball's kicked in. We won't have to wait till the football is kicked back in. That is half-time here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. What an exciting first 45 minutes of play here between two sides, as I've mentioned, that are in desperate need of a win. South Melbourne, of course, coming off that 1-0 win against Dandenong Thunder, but somewhat of a scrappy win. And for Dandenong City, a hard-fought win last week against Hume City. A 0-0 draw. I'm sure they'd like to work their way back into the winners column, but what a first opening 45 minutes of football here in this first half. Two teams where South Melbourne came out quite literally foot to the pedal, opened up their scoring list with Sebastian Pasquale putting an absolute whirler of a goal right into the right-hand box of the corner, or I should say right in the top right bin of the goal. It was an exceptional goal there for South Melbourne, but however, here at half-time though, we'll have a quick little break here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. What an opening 45 minutes, and we still got another 45 minutes to come up. We're going to have a quick little break here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. When we come back, second half football action will be underway once again. I'll quickly read out some of the scores as well in and around the ground. Still half-time between Green Gully and Altona Magic. Half-time here as well at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. The 21st minute between the Oakley Cannons and Avondale at Jack Edwards Reserve, and the 4th minute between the Preston Lions and Hume City. There are some of the stats on your screen right there. 8 shots for Dandenong City, 2 on target, and for South Melbourne, 6 shots, 3 shots on target, albeit as well 1 shot, that being a goal. So that'll be the first half here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. We'll take a quick break here. It's half-time. Dandenong City trail. It's Dandenong City 0, South Melbourne Hellas 1. Welcome back, everybody, to Frank Holohan Soccer Complex between Dandenong City and South Melbourne. Round 20 of the Senol NPL Victorian competition. Friday night football does not get any bigger than this. It's South Melbourne coming in to this second half, leading 1-0 after an opening goal scored by Sebastian Pasquale that put the ball right into the top bins on the right-hand side. It was an exceptional goal within the first minute and a half of the game. So really, really strong start for South Melbourne. And it was the first half that was very equal. They both went on runs. It was Dandenong City that really started the onslaught, and then South Melbourne were able to respond for a little bit of time before Dandenong City were able to reapply that pressure back on them and really start attacking more and more. So a very, very even first half between the two. And the only substitution coming in to this second half just then was confirmed by a fourth official. Wade Decker has been substituted on for Xander Guy. So one substitution to begin this second half after what was a very exciting and energetic first half for both of the two sides, and a very early free kick to commence this second half. Again, a couple of other games unfolding as we speak. Just in the last couple of minutes, it's been Altona Magic who's been able to score a second goal against Green Gully at Green Gully Reserve. Vardar leading 2-0 at Green Gully Reserve. Still 0-0 between the Oakley Cannons and Avondale, and still 0-0 as well at Genestil Stadium between the Preston Lions and Hume City. But here we have a free kick to commence this second half here, after what wasn't pretty much 30 seconds from kickoff to that free kick. Now we have a corner coming up here for South Melbourne. South Melbourne, as I mentioned, wearing their blue shirt and grey shorts. Dandenong City wearing their white shirt and blue shorts. So a corner now on the far side for South Melbourne. Jordan Lampard, the taker of this one. Ball's going to be whipped in this time. Can they start off strong like they did in that first half? Here's David Yu now on this left-hand flank position, switching from right-hand flank to left-hand flank. Yannikopoulos tries to center it in. Yuki Uchida! How about that for Yuki Uchida? And South Melbourne kickstart the second half just like they did in the first. Posing for the camera. And Yuki Uchida, his first goal of the season, and he had to wait 20 rounds for it. Yuki Uchida, what a start in this second half. South Melbourne have come out guns blazing the exact same way they were able to start in that first half with an early goal by Sebastian Pasquale. Now it's Yuki Uchida, the Japanese man, putting the ball in the back of the net. And a superb start there for South Melbourne. And they go up 2-0 here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. And Dandenong City find themselves in a very, very familiar position to the way they started that first half. All they need is just one goal to try and somewhat claw their way back into this game. But this is a South Melbourne squad that today has really come out guns blazing. Definitely been really solid in the counter-attacks throughout so many different passages of play, and let's see if they can try and keep doing the same thing throughout the entirety of the game. Dandenong City, though, can they keep their head held high? Because they've definitely played quite a really strong game of football. They've definitely been level pegging with this South Melbourne squad, so definitely nothing to be annoyed about if you're a Dandenong City fan, because they're definitely playing well. It's just South Melbourne are in the right position at the right time in this game. Can they respond is the question. They got really close on a multitude of different occasions in that first half. Jamie Latham, definitely one man that was really close to putting the ball in the back of the net a couple times. So don't lose all faith, Dandenong City fans out there. Sure, they can try and work their way back into this ball game. Ramazani, who was one-on-one there with Wade Decker, who's made his way over from Dandenong Thunder in the mid-season transfer. What kind of impact can he make here? And a tough contest there for Dandenong City. As it was Will Bauer there. And a really, really heavy contest, but it will be with Jake Charleston, the young goalkeeper. So speaking a little bit about Wade Decker, obviously joined the club of the mid-season transfer, a former Oakley Cannon, Melbourne City and Dandenong Thunder player. 2015 to 2016, spent some time, played 6 games for Melbourne City. In 2023 and also 2021 and 2023, played for the Oakley Cannons. Played 33 games, scored 14 goals in his time there before last year. Joined Dandenong Thunder, where he played in 19 games and scored 7 goals, along too with this man, Yuki Uchida, 2 former Dandenong Thunder players out there, making their names, but in 2 different clubs, but in opposing sides from one another. So somewhat of a rejoice there for those 2 sides. Wade Decker plays first game for Dandenong City 2 weeks ago in that 3-1 win against Avondale here at home. That very, very foggy match that day. Jankovic with a header away after the throw-in from Atherinos. Here's David Yu. 1-on-1 now on that right-hand side, who cuts it in with Jackson Lino. Out to Yuki Uchida, who's going to try and whip it in. Had Jordan Swivel in his sights, but Pasquale managing to work it out. Here's Uchida once again on that right-hand side. Goes towards his right, tries to cross it in there. Could this be a chance? Jordan Swivel works it back, and they're trying to find some space. Yanakopoulos, what a time it will be if he could put himself on the scoreboard as well. Uchida inside the 18-yard area, who tries to chip it up and over. And that one going over the goal. And it will be a goal kick there. So a super, super electric start here for South Melbourne. If you're a South Melbourne fan, you're definitely loving the way this game is unfolding right now. 2-0 the scoreline here for those that are just tuning in. So what was a very exciting first half. Not only from South Melbourne, but Dandenong City, that kept the game very equal for majority of it, apart from the first minute and a half when Sebastian Pasquale was able to dish a beautiful goal up in the top right. Good ball, however, here, George Lambatarides, and he was called offside there. George Lambatarides, a player who's been somewhat quiet in this game, hasn't been able to get going at all. I'd like to see if he can possibly work his way into this game. Began his career back in 2008 for Altona Magic before moving to the Oakley Cannons in 2009. Spent some time in Belgium in 2011 before joining Brisbane Roar. And spent some time there from 2011 to 2016. Played in 9 games, had 1 goal as well. His only goal came in his last game of the 2011 season. And that was his 2nd game. That was actually against Gold Coast United in the NPL Queensland competition. Was also part of the 2011 and 12 Brisbane Roar A-League Championship winning squad. Also a former Bentley Greens player as well from 2021 and 2022, Wade Decker. Sorry, George Lambatarides, I should say. My correction. Football there coming up. Almost came up into the commentary booth there. Uchida. Beautiful ball down the line. This is Peticic, Cullen, and Jordan Swivel. And that one out over the touchline. Back in possession for South Melbourne. George Lambatarides, as I was just mentioning, played in 19 games this year, this being his 20th, and he scored 2 goals. One in round 8 versus Bentley Greens and a 3-0 win at home, and the other in round 17 in that 3-2 loss to George Cross at City Vista. Dandenong City trying to escape the press and the pressure by South Melbourne right up here on this near side. Jordan Lampard looks for the throw in inside the 18-yard area to Jordan Swibble. That ball going out. Jordan Swibble, former Sydney FC, Western Sydney Wanderers and Marconi Stallions player, as well as Valor FC in Canada. Here's a corner coming up here for South Melbourne. Aaron Cox, the taker of this one. Got a couple men in the box here. What can be made here? It's towards the front post. It was George Lambatarides managing to clear it away. Aaron Cox tries to whip it back in. And really good defending there for Dandenong City, clearing the football away. Timmy Atharinos with a great ball out. Could this be a chance here for Dandenong City? Jamie Latham all on his own, one-on-one with Ramazani. Just waited to try and get some of his teammates up ahead. Was well and truly outnumbered. What can Dandenong City make do here as tried to play it out through to the leading George Lambatarides, who was coming in to the 18-yard area. South Melbourne, really good defensive play there. Hassan Ramazani, knowing that Jamie Latham was all on his own, was able to wait for Thomas Yanakopoulos, Jack Painter-Andrews and Marko Jankovic to work their way back. Just that little split second of Jamie Latham waiting really made that opportunity of a goal somewhat impossible. As promised as well, we'll bring you all of the updates in and around the ground. So still a 2-0 lead in favour of Altona at Green Gully Reserve against Green Gully. In the last couple minutes, the Oakley Cannons have scored a goal. They lead that game 1-0 at Jack Edwards Reserve against Avondale. And it's still a 0-0 contest at Genestil Stadium between the Preston Lions and Hume City. Those are the scores right around the Senol NPL Victorian competition. Here's Aaron Cox. What can he make of this opportunity as he tries to curl it around the outside of his boot? And the corner there indicated by our linesman, I believe, and it did look like Matthew Murray did catch the ball, but he did touch. And the ball did, I believe he controlled it, but while he controlled it, he did cross the football over the byline. So the ball is going to be with Aaron Cox here, and another corner coming up here for South Melbourne. This is their 8th corner of the game. And it was a very, very poor corner kick there towards the front post, towards Danny Kim. He was all by himself on that occasion. Tries to whip it in here. Here's Yuki Uchida, who tries to make a little bit of magic for South Melbourne. Boy, would he love to get another goal in this game. Yanakopoulos out to Cox on this left-hand side. One-on-one with Will Bauer, who tries to progress it up forwards. That one, not quite on that occasion. It will be with Matthew Marum. And a couple of substitutions will slowly be making their way on. Looks to be Jackson Courtney Perkins, the man to be coming on. I believe the man he might be taking off might be George Lambatarides, but we'll get the official confirmation for you once it happens. Matthew Marum brings the football back in on this near side. Jankovic with the header. Beautiful play here to Will Bauer. And a really tough contest there between Yuki Uchida and Will Bauer. And it will be a free kick here for Dandenong City. It was actually Jordan Lampard who dealt with the contact there on Will Bauer. What an evening here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Great game of football. South Melbourne leading this game 2-0. Jamie Latham getting ready for this free kick. Plays it short to Valil Sesnik. Back out to Latham, who tries to reset the play. Whips it in towards the back post. The intended man, I'm not sure if it was Jack Peticic-Cullen, who was all the way in the back, but We will get the official substitution. George Lambatarides will be making his way off. Jackson Courtney Perkins will be the substitution, making his way on for George Lambatarides. So let's see what Jackson Courtney Perkins can provide in this game. Jackson Courtney Perkins, a former Port Melbourne Sharks, Avondale and Dandenong Thunder player. Last year played for Moreton City Excelsior, where he played in 5 games in the Australian Championship. Also played for Avondale in the NPL season. Played in 13 games, scored 1 goal. The only goal was in round 10 in a 4-0 win against Altona Magic. As it was Valil Sesnik that was down on that one. Contact there between himself and Aaron Cox. Dandenong City wasting no time here to start progressing the football up here. Here's Courtney Perkins. Intercepted in the middle of the park by Yanakopoulos. And South Melbourne, at the moment, they're just picking apart Dandenong City with the way they're able to play. It's almost as if they're just able to know exactly the play South Melbourne are running here. Somewhat mind reading out there. Jack Painter-Andrews now on the right-hand side. It was Timmy Atharinos had his hands out there saying, surely the ball went over the touchline, and it did. Confirmed there by our linesman. South Melbourne's away record so far this year, it's been quite impressive. 5 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses. They had a round 1, 2-1 win versus Avondale, a round 5, 1-0 win against Green Gully, a round 8, 3-0 win versus Preston in the big show, possibly their best performance that they had all season. Followed it up in round 10, and that 4-0 win against Dinamo, and then a 5-1 win, I should say, in round 17 against the Bentley Greens. And the only draw they had was in round 15, in possibly what's been their most competitive game to date over the last couple of games, apart from this one, that 1-1 draw against Hume City at Nasiel Stadium. So Hellas definitely been quite the factor away from home, away from Lakeside Stadium. And rightfully so. They've definitely played in a whole abundance of different venues throughout the year so far with the amount of games that they've played. This game today, if you were to include it from the start of the year, it would be their 41st game. If you were to keep tally from since the Australian Championship began last year, it's their 50th game that they've played. So they've played just a sheer number of games this year, and they've still got so many more to go. Of course, they got a round of 32 Australia Cup game against Adelaide United. And what should be a very, very exciting matchup. A couple of NPL Victorian teams picking up against a couple of A-League competition teams. Crescent Lions, another team that will be playing an A-League club. That club being the winners of last year's Australia Cup, that being the Newcastle Jets. NPL Victoria football being showcased under the brightest lights right across the nation. And here is Jackson Courtney Perkins looking to try and win the football. Won it off of Marko Jankovic. Hassan Ramazani doing a great job at getting the football away from that goal. That might have been the first real chance possibly that Dandenong City would have had in this first half to try and actually have a shot on goal. They've been very, very lopsided by South Melbourne right now, and you can see the intensity there. As Michael Uliaris there giving the free kick to Dandenong City. Thomas Yanakopoulos, as I mentioned, the former Dandenong City player in his own right. In 2024 and 2025, 49 games, 4 goals in his time out of those 49 games that he played for Dandenong City. So somewhat of a solid performance from him so far tonight. I'm sure he'd love to have a goal for his likings as well. That'll really cap off what's been a game for him. I say somewhat because up to his likings, it's definitely probably not the game that he would want to play. Just because I'm sure he'd probably want to have a goal next to his name against his former side. This could be a chance here for South Melbourne now. Uchida inside the 18-yard area. And it's Timmy Atharinos winning the football and kicking it away. As we slowly tick over. I should say we slowly close up to the 65th minute here in this game. A couple of substitutions getting ready to make their way on. Out onto the pitch, Max Mikla being one of them. Richard Nkomo and Bull Jawach, all players getting ready to suit up for South Melbourne. As a long throw will be ready to come on here. Let's see what this opportunity can provide. Ball towards Marko Jankovic, and it's Danny Kim able to clear the football away. Corny Perkins trying to win it as well. One-on-one with Jack Painter-Andrews. Out to Timmy Atharinos, who's been exceptional so far this year. Up to Will Bauer, tries to center it back to Timmy Atharinos. Really, really promising there for Dandenong City, who are trying to regain in some energy here. Hasn't been the strongest second half for them thus far. Sure, they'd love to try and get a goal back and try and make this game a little bit more interesting. Sesnick tries to whip it back. And it was towards Wade Decker, but wasn't there on that occasion. So those substitutions, as I was mentioning, for South Melbourne, directly beneath me here, getting ready to make their way over. Make their way into this ball game. Max Mikla, Richard Nkomo, and Bull Jawach, all men standing by, ready to go. And what a moment this should be for Bull Jawach as well, a former Heidelberg man, making his way over for South Melbourne. Hellas getting ready to make his debut in the South Melbourne blue. Up forwards to Aaron Cox now, who's all by himself, working his way into the 18-yard area, tries to cross it in and whip it in towards the far post, but not quite. And here are the substitutions. Richard Nkomo making his way over for Yuki Uchida. Bull Jawach will be making his way on for Jordan Swibble, and Max Mikla will be making the change for David Yu. So those are the changes out there. 3 changes for South Melbourne. Richard Nkomo, the 19-year-old left back. Instead, he'll be playing up in the central attacking midfielder position. Not his natural position, but I'm sure adding some flair up front. Played in 2023 and 2024 for Sydney FC, where he played in 15 games in the NPL New South Wales competition, before playing in 2024 and 2025 for the Western Sydney Wanderers, where he played 23 games, scored 3 goals, and most notably playing for the Newcastle Jets last year, where he played 1 game. That was in round 10 versus MacArthur. That was a 5-1 loss on that occasion. That's Richard Nkomo. Max Mikla as well, a former Queensland Lions player. And of course, Bull Jawach, former Heidelberg United player. Also most notably played for Pacific FC in the Canadian Championship and Pro League over there. The league's Golden Boot winner and top goal scorer. Also earned the Players Player of the Year award in the NPL last year. Scored 31 goals across all competitions for the Burgers last year. Out of all of Heidelberg's 77 goals throughout the Australia Cup, NPL, Doherty Cup and the Australian Championship, 31 of those goals were Bull Jawach's. That's 40% of goals scored by Bull Jawach up front. Now the 3rd most goals scored in a single season at Heidelberg United First one was by Bobby Despotovsky with 33 in 1996, and Kenny Athew in 2017 with 32. And Bull Jawach with 31 last year. What a performance it was for the Raging Bull. Good to see him back in the Senol NPL Victorian competition, who wasn't in the lineup last week. So we'll see what kind of impact he can make out there. So much talent out here. 2 changes getting ready to come on for Dandenong City as well. Looks to be Will Bauer and possibly Timmy Atharinos that might be getting subbed off. We'll get the official confirmations when they do come up. Michael Jankovic headering it away. Almost had my hands on it up here in the commentary box. Love to get involved in the game. There's Jordan Lampard working it back to Jack Charleston. And the substitutions are on standby. Anastasios Georgakopoulos will be making his way on for Jamie Latham. That's one substitution. And the other one will be Matthew Giofku. He'll be making his way on for Danny Kim. So Matthew Giofku, on he comes. And Jamie Latham out. Anastasios Georgakopoulos on. So far, 3 changes for both of these two sides. There's a corner coming up here. Or a throw-in, in fact. But with the way that everyone's lining up, it looks like it's a corner. All of these throw-ins now. No one going and opting for the traditional short throws. It's all been long throws. Every single time it looks like all the players are ready for a corner kick whenever the football is up towards the byline. Giofku making an instant touch on the football there. Jackson Lino presses it up forwards. And Jake Charleston catching the football, but also taking out his teammate in Hassan Ramazani there. Just ticking over 71 minutes here at Frank Holohan. And here is Bull Jawach, the first touch of the football for him in South Melbourne blue. Yanakopoulos works it back to Jack Painter-Andrews. Some updates in and around the league as well. Altona Magic have scored yet another goal. A 3-0 lead for Vardar at Green Gully Reserve. Still a 1-0 lead in favour of the Oakley Cannons against Avondale. And a 0-0 scoreline still between the Preston Lions and Hume City. So an epic night of football right across the Senol NPL Victorian competition. Matthew Giofku, who's brought down. Anastasios Georgakopoulos, former Melbourne Victory player. Played 11 games for them in 2025 last year. And of course Matthew Giofku came up through the youth ranks here at Dandenong City.
That's your ball. White ball.
Jordan Lampard colliding there with Will Bauer.
You got Bell again if you want. We've got no tall timber in there. Wait for
The
Gaku
last
to get in there too.
Dandenong City win that they had against South Melbourne was in their first encounter last year on the 31st of March. It was a 3-1 win on that occasion. Ever since then, South Melbourne's had their number. Had a game in the Doherty Cup last year that ended up in a 1-1 draw. It was Hellas that won 3-1 on penalties on that occasion. The South Melbourne really promising attack there. The connection from Nkomo and Jawach. Bull Jawach, lethal up ahead in front of the goal. That's the last player you want if you're Dandenong City attacking your goal. The last time he was here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex was last year, where Heidelberg United had a 2-0 victory against Dandenong City. He had 2 goals on that occasion. One from the penalty area, one right from a penalty spot kick, and the other when he was marching up forwards where he put the ball away into the back of the net. Here come Dandenong City though. Can they try and whip this ball into the back of the net? And one more substitution getting ready to make his way on. Paolo Retre. He's getting ready and getting one more briefing before making his way on. Will Bauer, however, though, is getting ready on standby for this corner kick. Dandenong City looking to try and get this football game back within a goal. Corner's going to come in here. Dandenong City, what can they provide? Valil Sesnik! It was close! Dandenong City, however, though, it's a good old saying, so close yet so far at the moment. Here comes the second attempt for them. They'd love to try and get an equaliser here. Here's take two once again towards the back post. And it was the youngster Jack Paticic-Cullen that was getting ready for that one. And the change is official. Paolo Retre's on, and he will be replacing Sebastian Pasquale. So the official confirmation there as Paolo Retre gets ready to make his Senol NPL Victorian debut. Sebastian Pasquale scored the first goal in this game. Spent 2019 and 2025 playing for Western United, where he played 51 games there. And now it's Paolo Retre making his Senol NPL Victorian debut. What a player. Spent most recently playing at Wellington Phoenix in the A-League competition. 2024 and 2026, where he played 41 games, scored 3 goals there. Quite the player. Been labelled as one of the most consistent and dependable players in the A-League, a former Melbourne City, also Melbourne Hearts player. That's how long he's been around. And Sydney FC player as well. A 2-time A-League champion in 2018 and 2019, and the following season as well with Sydney FC. Played 171 games during his tenure at Sydney FC from 2017 to 2023. Scored 4 goals in those couple of seasons that he spent there. The most recent goal that he scored in the 2025-26 season was in round 11 against Brisbane Roar. That was a 3-0 win at Suncorp Stadium on that occasion for Wellington Phoenix. Let's see what kind of impact he can make. Massive squad depth for South Melbourne out there. Really adding to what's already been quite a solid and superb team already. And Como with the set piece. Works it back. Jankovic presses the ball back up forwards here. Max Mikkola now. Just enormous pressure in the attacking third being felt by South Melbourne. Matthew Murram, exceptional youngster there. Got a really bright future, the young goalkeeper, who's definitely doing his dues here. And here is Buljawach. Don't let him anywhere near the football here. Max Mikkola just lost the football there, but Buljawach, however, you almost know once he gets his foot on the football, there's no chance of stopping him. The only way that football is going to go is in the back of the net here. Courtney Perkins, however, trying to progress the football up for Dandenong City. Works it back. No one was there on that occasion. And Dandenong City just losing these chances here to try and attack and really have one shot on the goal. It's been a really, really disappointing second half for them so far. Haven't had too many shots on goal, and when they have, the shots have just been really, really poor and really sloppy giveaways like that. Paolo Retre managing to try and win the football back for South. Max Mikkola works it back. Jordan Lampard now, who's got space. Cuts it back out to Aaron Cox. Got Buljawach in the box. I'm sure he's going to be the intended man. Aaron Cox working it back in centrally. Back out to Retre. Jordan Lampard. Yanakopoulos tries to keep the football. Still in possession with South. This game in these last couple sequence of plays has been very, very sloppy from both sides. Ramazani just pokes it, instead goes straight into the feet of Atharinos. Intensity off the charts here. Can Dandenong City score an equaliser? Working the football back, Buljawachu's outnumbered, a 1-on-5 from in the middle of the park where he was. Dandenong City don't have to fight at all for that. Working it out wide. Can Dandenong City try and score here? It was Jake Charleston who was out of position. He's trying to work out who that was on that far post. I believe it might have been Will Bauer. Commendable here for Dandenong City, trying to make the most out of what hasn't been the strongest of second halves for them. Compare it to this time last week against South Melbourne, where they had a really, really strong and solid second half for them. But they really dominated the possession against Hume City, who's second on the table. Compare it to this time round. Maybe some expectation might slowly be setting in here for Dandenong City. Nick Tolios, the master of the comeback, trying to work his team back into finals contention. His 71st game in charge as Dandenong City head coach, considering when he was appointed back in 2022 in October. It's Painter Andrews trying to win it back. Jackson Lino in pursuit, and we have one more substitutions getting ready to come on. Stevie Elix getting ready to come on for Will Bauer, so the official confirmation is there. Stevie Elix will make his way on for Will Bauer. So 4 substitutions for Dandenong City, and South Melbourne's bench bringing yet one more substitution card over to our 4th official. So we'll have to wait and see who the other one will be. Good ball there from Atharinos in centrally to Sesnik, who had quite the game last week. Elix up forwards, pressing it to Atharinos, who's just trapped in that corner by Hassan Ramazani. And you can just see the quality out there by South Melbourne. Just really outclassing Dandenong City, I should say, out there. Atharinos with the corner, up towards the near post. It was Nkomo who managed to get the header on it. Atharinos with Nkomo one-on-one. And the football back with Dandenong City. Jackson Lino up forwards. Dandenong City, they're playing really fearlessly at the moment right now. They should have been playing like this a little bit more earlier on, but is it a little too late here as we're in pretty much the last 8.5 to 7 minutes to go. Second half, and this entire game actually has been very, very clean. Credit to our officiating group out there, led by Michael Uliaris, who's done a really good job at keeping all the men out there in check. And credit to all our Football Victoria officials, not just here in Victoria actually, but right across the nation and worldwide as well, especially out in the World Cup. They do such a commendable job. They make our game flow. So credit to all of the officials out there. Here's Hassan Ramazani, who worked his way in right in the centre circle, winning his team a free kick. We have Andrew Mezzaruni, who's slowly getting ready to make his way on. He's got the bib still on here. He'll take it off any minute now. What an evening it's been of football here, folks. Updating you throughout some of the fixtures as well, right across the game. Still a 3-0 lead in favour of Altona against Green Gully. 1-0 lead at Jack Edwards Reserve between Oakley and Avondale, and it's half-time at Geneseo Stadium between Preston and Hume City. A free kick here for South Melbourne, and the first yellow card of the game there.
Hey, actually, let's go 2 up top. You and Bull, 2 up top. Next, you
Might have to try and get the official wording there of who was the player there that actually caused that yellow card, and I believe it might have been Jack Peticic-Cullen. And it was, and the official confirmation there, Andrew Mezzaruni will be making his way on. That will be Aaron Cox's day done and dusted. So one more change in favour there for South Melbourne. I did overhear Sinisha Chohajic out on the bench, electing to roll with 2 up top between Andrew Mezzaruni and Bull Joach. So a bit of a formation shift there for South Melbourne, as they do have a set piece here. What can they provide? Mezzaruni with a kick, going over the crossbar. And it will be with Matthew Marum. Andrew Mezzaruni, a former Port Melbourne Sharks player in 2024. Spent 18 games there where he played 3 goals, and this could be a chance here for South as pressing up top here, putting the back third of Dandenong City under some pressure. Jordan Lampard goes down the line to throw it in. Last touch though by Jack Peticic-Cullen.
Hey, you got Maxi in front of you.
4 minutes to go here of regular time. So what's been a very, very impressive game for both these two sides, especially for South Melbourne. Max Mikler with traditional long throw. Jackson Lino in the back, cleared away by Giofku. Courtney Perkins trying to win it back. Jackson Lino out with Andrew Mezzaruni, who's got the football still alive for South. And that one going over the byline for a South Melbourne corner. Jordan Lampard slowly work his way over there. In more recent time, Green Gully have scored their first goal in the game. A 3-1 lead in favour of Altona Magic. So the great escape for Green Gully might possibly be slowly slipping away from their hands over there. But at the moment, though, between these two sides, finals football for South Melbourne is definitely looking a lot more promising compared to Dandenong City. The corner will come in, and it was very, very close there for South Melbourne. Thomas Yanakopoulos really, really close at putting the ball in the back of the net against his former side. And that one would have been oh so sweet for him. But not quite. Ramazani plays it up forwards to Juach. It was one-on-one with Jackson Lino, and in the last couple seconds, that game is completed at Green Gully Reserve between Green Gully and Altona Magic. Altona collecting the 3 points, 3-1 at Green Gully Reserve. Dandenong City, is their life still in this Dandenong City squad? So what's been a very, very sloppy game for them after that first half, which is very, very promising. It hasn't been quite like that in the second half. That's been really, really sloppy with dead giveaways like that. South Melbourne, however, have looked really strong. Hassan Ramazani was on the ground, but now he's back up. Matthew Giofku is down on the deck as well, who'll slowly look to try and make his way up. And correction, it's actually Wade Deco who's down on the deck. As we do finally have a bit of a halt in play there. Wade Decker, who's just holding himself down on the ground. The former Dandenong Thunder player. Joined the club, Dandenong Thunder, back in 2024. Spent the entirety of that season and last year playing there, where he played 41 games. Scored 14 goals in his tenure there, as we'll get the official confirmation for how much added time there will be to complete proceedings here at this game. Our referee, our fourth official, giving us an indication, as I just saw, of a possible 4 minutes of added time to be added here in this game. He's been all too nice to me here, down here, our fourth official. It's good being here right in front, right above our officiating staff. Makes reading out all the substitutions that much easier. And there is the official confirmation there. 4 minutes of added time here to complete proceedings at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. For what's been a huge game for South Melbourne thus far. Really, really outclassing Dandenong City here. Sinisa Chahajic, ever since he was appointed last year from Esteban Quintas. Today, this is his 36th game in charge, and it'll be yet another win for him in his record since joining the club. Jawach up forward. Boy, would he love to make a statement here and add another goal here. Here is Jawach. Could he try and put the ball in the back of the net? As it was offside there by Bull. So the Raging Bull just getting a little bit too etchy there as he finds himself offside. A terrific evening here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Amazing turnout here. Both communities out in full force, making the most of what's been a cracker of a game here so far. Pleasure to have your company as well. And if you're a South Melbourne Hellas fan, you are loving what you're watching right now. And maybe another goal might be on the horizon here. Bull Jawach and an offside call. And he would love to add one to his name. And super, super close there, but just too offside. And he knew it was offside, and he just halted up there. But still, nevertheless, though, got pinged for that offside call. Max Mikola trying to win the football back. Wade Decker tries to progress it up. Could this be a chance? And Ramazani, who's been in every spot so far this evening in the back third, done an incredible job at really stopping Dandenong City attacking the football. And a lot of these acquisitions for South Melbourne have made a really, really big difference. Hassan Ramazani, what an impact he's made. David Yu, who got subbed on, or who actually made the start and who got subbed off for Max Mikola. What a acquisition he's been as well. And then, of course, some of these other acquisitions as well, which are going to be huge. Paulo Retre, Bull Jawach, Richard and Como. Some huge, huge signings, which are really going to add to the depth. Well, it's already been a stacked South Melbourne team, and it's going to definitely get a lot more interesting with rounds to come. And in other news, it's a 2-0 lead at Jack Edwards Reserve between Avondale and the Oakley Cannons. Oakley leading that game 2-0 over there. Sesnick, what a beautiful ball there. Gets it up to Timmy Atharinos, the youngster, who's had 7 goals to his name so far this year. I'm sure he'd love to have another. He hasn't scored a goal in quite some time over the last couple of games. See if he can try and get back to his scoring ways. Matthew Giofku with a low ball, tried to whip it in. Bull Jawach. That ball going out and over the touchline. Dandenong City. Could this be one last roll of the dice here? Tries to cross it in, and it was very, very close there But we are going to have a corner coming up here for Dandenong City, and possibly the last one to complete the game. To what's been a very, very one-sided South Melbourne affair here. Really, really hot start for them. Revitalised after the mid-season transfer. Could this be a chance to get one more ball and one more goal back on the scoreboard? That one cleared away, and that is full-time here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. South Melbourne back on the winning list once again. 2 wins in a row. Last week against Dandenong Thunder. This week against Dandenong City. Getting the double against both Dandenong teams. And getting the clean sweep against Dandenong Thunder. Okay, sorry, I should say against Dandenong City earlier on this year. Getting that 4-2 win on them. This evening, though, 2-0 win for South Melbourne. A 6-2 aggregate in favour for Hellas after what was a very, very impressive, dominant display for them this evening. Really, really outclassed Dandenong City, but commendable for Dandenong City, though. They held in the fight, tried to do as much as they possibly could, and after things turned sloppy in that second half, it was South Melbourne that were able to capitalise, and both of their goals happened straight away within the first minute and a half to 2 minutes as soon as the first and second half kicked off. It was the first goal by Sebastian Pasquale in the first minute and a half, and pretty much at the exact same point in that second half, the goal by Yuki Uchida, his first one of the NPL season so far this year. And literally just now gotten the official confirmation, Preston Lions have scored a goal against Avondale, and they lead that one in the 49th minute, 1-0. There are the stats on your screen. Dandenong City, 11 shots, 3 on target. And for South Melbourne, 12 shots, 5 shots on target. So a very even game statistically wise. But both the teams, though, really, really solid stuff. Next time out, South Melbourne will play Preston Lions in the Big Show Part 2. That'll be next Saturday at 3:15 p.m. What an encounter that will be. A real, real big test. Both teams are the favourites, possibly the true contenders for the championship. But the way that things are shaping up right now, anyone is a contender right now. Dandenong City, they're going to live to fight another day, that's for sure. What a game it was for them, though. Credit to Dandenong City, fought right to the end. The next time out for Dandenong City, they will face the Bentley Greens at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. That'll be one hell of a matchup next Friday night. And an encounter for them that is a very, very winnable one for them. The next couple of games for Dandenong City, they can definitely crawl back a lot of points. Next week, Bentley Greens, and they've got Green Gully away, Dandenong Thunder away in the Dandenong Derby, and then Altona Magic before taking on Preston and then Oakley to round out their season. For South Melbourne, Preston next week before taking on the Oakley Cannons. Then St. Albans Dynamo visiting at Melbourne City the week after. Then it'll be at Heidelberg United, and then rounding out their season will be against Caroline Springs George Cross. What an evening it was here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Glad you could be with us here for this cracker of an encounter. Round 20 of Senol NPL Victoria. Couldn't be any better. There are the winners on screen, shaking hands with their travelling supporters as they've been travelling for so many games. I'll give you the official confirmation of the games still to come as well. Tomorrow, it'll be Melbourne City taking on Heidelberg United. What an important game for Heidelberg United. That one is a must-win game for them to try and regain some form. And then at 5 p.m., it'll be the Adam Pittock Derby. That's what it's labelled as, between Dandenong Thunder and Bentley Greens. And then on Sunday, 3 p.m. kickoff between St. Albans Dynamo and George Cross. And to round out some of the scores so far, it was a 3-1 win for Altona Magic. And at the moment, the way the games are unfolding, a 2-0 victory in favour of the Oakley Cannons and Avondale, and a 1-0 lead at the moment between Preston Lions and Hume City. The 55th minute in that one, the 71st minute at Jack Edwards. But here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, that will do us here on this incredible Friday night of football. A couple of big returns and a couple of big debuts. But at the end of the day, it was South Melbourne coming and making it too strong of a performance at the end of the day, being too strong for Dandenong City Hajduk. At the end of it all, it was Dandenong City 0, South Melbourne 2. I've been Stefan Georgic, signing off from Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.